We are kicking off today with SmackDown, and The Rock came out solo to open the show, complete with his vest look that serves two functions. Not only is it a callback to his original run as a heel, but is perfect for his current egotistical boss gimmick, and the TKO board member arrived to a massive ovation. That actually made him pause and appreciate the crowd as Dwayne Johnson before going back into rock mode, and he spoke for a bit about his past before sitting down to sing a song. The song was the usual array of jokes you would expect from Rocky, as he made some sex puns, called Cody Rhodes a mistake, and mocked Seth Rollins for having a successful wife. For this performance, The Rock had two guys playing guitar and harmonica, and it came to us that there's just not enough famous harmonica players anymore. The Rock is entertaining, but singing is not his strongest quality, and while he's not awful, he sounds more like your uncle singing karaoke than a guy who's supposed to lead a Disney musical. Once his song was over, the Great One, now dubbing himself the Final Boss, showed some clips of Rhodes slapping him and crying while talking about his mom. This was entertaining, especially if you like The Rock, but we don't think it needed to be 20 minutes long, especially as it added little to the story heading into WrestleMania 40. The crowd, though, certainly had a blast, and at one point even began chanting "Whoop that trick" when Rock threatened Cody's mom, Michelle, a phrase synonymous with NXT's Trick Williams. The meaning this time was different, as the show was in Memphis, and the phrase actually dates back to a song of the same name by rapper Al Capone in 2005, used in the film Hustle and Flow. It was also used by Memphis Grizzlies fans during their playoff series against the Los Angeles Clippers in 2013, and on this occasion wasn't used in reference of the NXT star. This segment was decent, but it's just another in a long line of Rock segments that could have accomplished all the same things in half the time. After a shaky start to his WWE return, The Rock has been thriving as a heel on TV, and the Brahma Bull's barbs for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have also been shared online. During this week's Raw, Cody Rhodes was visibly emotional as he spoke about finishing his story and the goal to hand a world title to his mother Michelle, given his father died in 2015. Taking to Twitter, The Rock cut another scathing promo on Rhodes, mocking Cody for getting emotional, and said it's clear why Rhodes fans are crybabies. Speaking about Rhodes' mother Michelle, Rock said Cody isn't giving anything to his mama, and that the title will remain around the waist of Roman Reigns. Despite this, Rock hopes that Michelle has a front row seat at WrestleMania, and said that Mama Rhodes is now in his crosshairs. The Rock clearly isn't satisfied with goating just one member of the Rhodes family, and on Twitter, Teal Rhodes, Cody's sister, had a rebuttal. Teal said that toxic masculinity is over, just like the Attitude Era, a time when The Rock was famously at his peak as a WWE superstar. We are just 3 weeks out from WrestleMania 40, where Rhodes and Rock will be on opposing teams, and what do you make of this promo? Let us know down below. At AEW Big Business, Mercedes Mone made her much-anticipated debut close to 2 years after walking out of WWE and ending her time as Sasha Banks. WWE branded Mone and Naomi disrespectful for walking out and did so on national television, and now Mercedes has reflected on her WWE exit. Speaking to fellow WWE alum Renee Paquette, Mone spoke about trying to heal after her time with WWE, who she argued took her dream away. She said, first is just finding a team. Finding people that I can go to for help because I felt so lost, so broken, so hurt, and so confused. I didn't know where I fit in this world, and especially in the world of wrestling that gave me so much hope, gave me so many dreams, gave me so much opportunity. I felt very lost and confused and unsure, and it hurt me because of how much work I put into being in wrestling, and all my dreams into it just felt like it got taken away from me, and it just kind of came crumbling down. So it took a little bit of healing, a lot of healing, but a team to really help build me back up and to have my back, to let me know I am more than a boss, I am a CEO, because I took control of my own life. I walked out with my head held up high, and I found so many new passions that I never got to discover before. Wrestling has always been my one and only and my everything. To be a 30-year-old back then, now I'm 32, to grow and understand that there's so much more than this. Mercedes Mone also credited the AEW women's division for her move to the promotion and wants to prove herself against the women she's never faced before. Mone has yet to wrestle for AEW, but expectations are high for the former women's champion now that she's fully healed and officially all elite. Mercedes Mone may be a part of AEW, but judging from a recent comment, this will be only temporary, as in an interview, she said that her time in WWE is not over yet. This comment led to a backlash among fans, with some accusing Mone of using AEW as a stepping stone back to WWE, and it's not just the fans who were unhappy. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it said that Mone's vow to return to WWE mere days before starting with AEW rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Given how wrestling is, Mone would be foolish to think that a WWE return could never happen, but to say so publicly that she'll return ahead of her AEW debut was a politically inept move. The report adds that some people do consider AEW as a place to make money before WWE brings them back, and it said that this group has in general been a detriment to AEW. Mone may see a WWE return happening eventually, but for now, she's poised to be a top woman in AEW, something that Mercedes would be wise to remember during her next interview. Whether a WWE return is in the cards or not, Mone is in AEW, and thanks to a massive deal, is certainly living up to her ring name. It's reported that Mone is the highest paid woman in wrestling thanks to this deal, and while it's not the $5 million per year figure once rumored, she's making plenty working for Tony Khan. While he's not a name like Bayley or Naomi, few people know Mercedes Mone better than Kevin Undergaro, who has been an advocate and producer for AEW's newest signing. In an interview with Heel Squad, Undergaro discussed Mone's arrival in AEW and said that she received a generous offer from her old home in an obvious nod to WWE. Undergaro praised the smarts of Mone, who he said went with her gut and signed with AEW, saying it had a lot more opportunity, creative, and mental help compared to WWE's deal. Undergaro added that in AEW, Mone won't just be tolerated, but will be celebrated, and they'll see her as the star she is, who has made waves in the ring and on The Mandalorian. Mone's debut segment scored 1 million views in the ratings, and a good sign for her, but now the real test is whether she'll be able to keep this momentum going. Do you think Mercedes Mone was right to join AEW, or should she have given WWE another chance and gone with their deal? Let us know in the comments. Back to SmackDown, which saw Randy Orton face Grayson Waller, who had Austin Theory in his corner to give the heels a number advantage. Before the match, Logan Paul asked Nick Aldis to punish Orton for attacking his business partner KSI last week, and as the match was about to begin, Paul came out to watch in person. His presence helped distract the Viper so Waller could get in some cheap shots early on and slam his head into the announce table when they took the fight out of the ring. This was a sufficiently fine match, but felt a bit paint by numbers, and you could almost predict each move before it was going to happen. This isn't uncommon in pro wrestling and does not mean the match was bad, but it just wasn't especially exciting to watch either. Orton, as you probably guessed, got the win with the RKO, but his celebration was over quickly, another moment you could have figured out given the number of heels around. Theory took him down with a chop block and held him so Paul could attack, but Kevin Owens ran down to make the save before Orton took the hit. KO and Orton almost had a miscommunication, but ended up working together to take out Theory, and the way the former US champ took a stunner and an RKO in a row looked awesome. The match itself was nothing special, but a few fun moments helped make the segment better. At this week's NXT, CM Punk was present for the latest taping and had some kind of altercation with the Gold Brand's commentator Booker T. That's at least what Booker claimed on his podcast, as he told his listeners that he and Punk almost got into it and vowed that he'd explain more at a later time. Now, though, it seems that Booker's comments may not be on the level, as Fightful reports that many in NXT are heavily skeptical about Booker's claim of an altercation. The report states, "In speaking to sources within NXT, Fightful's Corey Brennan was told there was a feeling of skepticism regarding Booker's comments, with no sources being aware of the confrontation prior to his podcast. One source pointed out that Punk has had zero issues backstage since returning to WWE, and questioned why Booker would make such a claim without offering context." The report adds, "Security was also not made aware of any such confrontation, with no talk of such an incident. In addition, NXT sources told Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp that Punk has been very helpful and open to lending a hand anytime he's been backstage in NXT since his return to WWE. Punk was said to be in good spirits at the taping and largely kept to himself, outside of speaking with Shawn Michaels, Matt Bloom, and a few members of the NXT roster." One talent told Fightful flat out that an altercation did not happen, and pointed out that Booker has a history of trying to stir up trouble, as he once tried to do the same with Corey Graves. There was a sense of frustration with Booker that he'd make up such a story about Punk, given Punk's history of backstage altercations that sunk his AEW career. Booker T, for whatever reason, is wanting to cause trouble for CM Punk, but this backstage altercation did not happen, and we'll have to see if Booker explains his actions. But what do you think of this? Why do you think Booker tried to cause controversy, and should he be punished for trying to stir up trouble? Let us know down in the comments. Angel and Humberto took on Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde in a WrestleMania qualifier to see which team would get to compete in the six-pack challenge for the tag team titles. We say it was Humberto, but it was actually just Berto, who has now lost part of his first name as well as his last name, and will probably just be known as B in 2025. These four men not only know each other well from the LWO vs Legado del Fantasma feud, but they are also four of the most versatile high flyers in WWE. The double press slam from the middle rope from Angel and Berto was a great spot, with Cruz del Toro selling the move perfectly. This was a fast-paced bout with a lot of fun moves and moments sprinkled in, and saw the heels get the win and advance to WrestleMania 40. Angel and Berto getting the win after Berto propelled Del Toro into the air so Angel could kick him on the way down was a cool spot, and the kind of wrestling to get the tag division back on track. Legado del Fantasma was back at ringside to watch Santos Escobar take on Dragon Lee in what was immediately a high-energy contest from the moment the bell rang. Lee was all over the place hitting high-flying moves for about a minute, but Escobar just needed one move to put him away and score the win. What started as a bout that could have stole the show turned into the quickest match of the night, and it's hard not to be disappointed to see it end so quickly after such a strong start. Carlito and Rey Mysterio both showed up to defend Lee from LDF to end the segment, and while seeing the veterans is always good, we'd rather have seen the match go longer. After we returned from a break, we saw Pretty Deadly and New Catch Republic already wrestling, so their entrances and the start of the match took place during commercials. The first part of the contest was brief before we got another commercial break, as both teams got in some offense, but Pretty Deadly's size advantage led to them controlling most of the pace. All four men did a great job in making this feel like a competitive fight, even with time restrictions, and Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne got the win, which got them one step closer to WrestleMania. Damage Control were on SmackDown as Dakota Kai took on former member Bayley in an explosive end to the show, but one member of the faction may have suffered an injury. The match ended in a DQ as Damage Control attacked Bayley, but fans were quick to notice that WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Asuka was seen limping in the ring. Asuka was seen limping around as Naomi made her way to the ring to defend Bayley, and Asuka was also cautious in the ring after Naomi came in. Naomi gave her best but was unable to even the odds as SmackDown ended with Damage Control standing tall, but the bigger story here is regarding Asuka. As a current champion and with WrestleMania mere weeks away, an injury to the Empress is the last thing anyone needs, and we'll try to find out more about her condition. And that was SmackDown, which was one of those shows that was likely a great live experience, but had a few issues that came through on the broadcast. The Rock taking up so much time whenever he is on screen is becoming an issue, as he is entertaining, but you can see where matches are being trimmed to make up for it. The bout between Escobar and Lee could have been a show-stealing performance, and the tag match between Pretty Deadly and New Catch Republic started abruptly during a commercial. On the plus side, there were some storyline developments, solid action, and a few entertaining non-wrestling segments, plus a solid RKO for Randy Orton to add to his highlight reel. This was a mixed bag of an episode, as what we got was great, but the negatives were a bit too big to ignore. It's safe to say that Cody Rhodes is one of the most popular superstars in WWE today, but recently the American Nightmare found himself in the middle of a couple's messy situation. On Twitter, a fan shared a photo of the newest merch from Fanatics, a new hoodie designed like Cody's jacket, and said that his wife said it's a divorce if he orders said hoodie. The fan, undeterred, has ordered the jacket anyway, and we're sure it'll keep him mighty cozy in the courtroom as they finalize the divorce. Now we know that WrestleMania 40 will mark the in-ring return of The Rock, close to a decade after his last previous match, and that he'll team with Roman Reigns on night 1. Now though, the question is, what's next for The Rock after WrestleMania, and it was recently reported that WWE wants him to face Reigns at the next Saudi Arabia event. That'll be easier said than done, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that The Rock is set to film The Smashing Machine, in which he'll play former MMA star Steve Kerr. It's explained that due to his filming schedule, The Rock won't be able to do any matches from WWE until SummerSlam, and even getting a match at that event would be a tall order. For a SummerSlam match, The Rock would have to be training while on set, as the filming of The Smashing Machine is set to start on May 1st, and will last for several months. The good news is that the consensus within WWE is that WrestleMania won't be The Rock's final match, so a Reigns match is possible, even if the specific date isn't clear right now. WWE could go for a Saudi show in late 2024, or wait until WrestleMania 41, and whatever it may be, expect the great one in the ring after what goes down in Philadelphia. It's been less than 2 months since Vince McMahon resigned from WWE for the second time due to the shocking and disturbing allegations in Janelle Grant's lawsuit. The suit and other claims against McMahon have led to a spotlight on the ex-chairman and his treatment of women, but this isn't the first time he's been accused of misconduct. In February 2006, a tanning salon employee accused McMahon of showing her nude photographs of himself and attempting to kiss her, but no charges were filed at the time. While speaking on Cheap Heat Productions, former WWE creative member Chris DeJoseph recalled McMahon being confronted about the allegations during a meeting. He said, "The meeting was completely cut off. We were all thrown out. We all had to go home. We got halfway through our meeting and that was it. And we didn't see him for another 3 days. And I remember Stephanie, I think she was red hot. I think Linda was pretty hot too. I think Stephanie was really upset." Following the 2022 allegations, it was reported that Vince and Linda had been separated for some time, and Stephanie resigned following her father's return to WWE in 2023. McMahon is seemingly on his own for this latest legal battle, as his family, or at least the women in his family, are almost certainly just as unhappy with these allegations as they were in 2006. In August of last year, the wrestling world lost Bray Wyatt at the tragically young age of 36, but for Mika Rotunda, she lost her big brother Wyndham. Taking to Instagram this week, Mika reflected on her brother's passing and said that she hates writing about him in the past tense, and every day has been a struggle without him. Mika said that she wonders how the sun can shine and the moon can glow without Wyndham around to admire it, so it's clear she's been struggling without her older brother. Since his passing, WWE has done what it can to support the family of Bray Wyatt, as the late superstar's merchandise now directly benefits his family. With the WWE Hall of Fame coming up, many are hoping to see Wyatt get the nod, but so far, no induction has been confirmed for the 3-time world champion. In the latest update from Dave Meltzer, it said that Wyatt was on the list of this year's inductees at one point, but it isn't right now, or at least wasn't the plan as of yesterday. With that said, Meltzer added that the impression was given that he'll be put in soon, and WWE could always decide that they do want him inducted this year after all. The report adds that Lia Maivia will likely be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and while WWE wants to announce Wyatt, it simply may not be his year. With Paul Heyman expected to headline this year's class, having Wyatt this year as well doesn't make sense, and we'll have to wait and see when Bray Wyatt enters the Hall of Fame. Despite being revealed as the Devil at AEW's World's End, Adam Cole hasn't wrestled since suffering an ankle injury back at Grand Slam 2023. During Fightful's latest Q&A session, Sean Ross Sapp provided insight into Adam Cole's recovery and shared that Cole has finally shed the protective boot he was wearing. Sapp added that there were concerns about whether or not it would stop swelling, but that was over a month ago, so it looks like things are heading in the right direction. Fans are eagerly awaiting Adam Cole's return to the squared circle, hoping to see him compete again after a prolonged absence, and we're wishing the Devil a speedy recovery. And we're ending with Will Ospreay, who officially became All Elite at Full Gear 2023, despite some previously expecting him to join WWE as part of the NXT Europe brand. Earlier this week, it was said that Triple H undervalued the charisma and promo skills of Ospreay, but there's more to why WWE ultimately didn't sign the British star. When Ringside News reached out to a WWE source, it was said that Ospreay wasn't a major topic of discussion and that negotiations with him covered a whole bunch of factors. In addition to financial terms, factors like schedule and living arrangements were also considered, and it's noted that WWE made Ospreay a fair deal for his services. Ultimately, Ospreay went with AEW and said that the company's openness to letting him continue to live and operate from the UK was a huge factor in his decision where to go. Ospreay had his debut match as an AEW talent at Revolution and impressed against Konosuke Takeshita, and expectations are high for the Brit, who's officially All Elite.